Hey guys! Monsters and Memories has just released its meaty January update, number 39. So I'm excited to dig right into it, see all the awesome updates they've been doing, their concept art, their in-game art. I'm sure they've been up to tons of stuff. So without further ado, let's dig in. All right, here it is, update 39, January 2024. They write, "Hi all, we hope the new year is treating you right. As mentioned in last month's update, we've got some data and technical learnings from the November stress tests and December playtest to pass along this month. We spent the month of January on a fun environment art focused mini milestone we named our Biome Jam. And I have seen some of those biomes and they are amazing. While also continuing to grind away at the usual work that you've come to expect. The goal of the Biome Jam was to see how quickly we could create new environmental themes. We weren't looking to make complete zones and mostly reuse the same terrain, but rather convey the theme through minimal use of new textures, props, lighting, and fog. This was meant to give us some insight into future work, while also just being fun and giving you a taste of things to come, both in the nearer term as well as long term. Keep in mind that images you'll see below are hitting the 60 to 80% quality bar for future work, but we think they convey things pretty well already, so let's get started. So they've got a bunch of concept art, NPC concepts including harpies, fairies, bears, wolves, yay, my favorite, fluffy spiders, centaurs, various birdmen and women and undead, random other creatures. Also the Biome Jam swamp props, spider dungeon, oh those are always a hit, high elf city, and this looks like one of their harpies. Got the 80s hair going on. Looking pretty cool. Fairies. Very cool. These are their concept arts. We got lots of animals, different creatures. Let's pop into those. Nice. Nice proportion bear. And wolf. Oh, I love the front of the wolf. Looks really good. Fluffy spider. Centaur. Oh, very impressive. We got the skulls on there and some sort of animal head. Love it. Oh, he's got some armor on. Birdman. Oh, look at that big thick bill. That's really different. Yeah, we usually see more like these raptor type, aviac type creatures. Very cool. We got some undead. Oh my gosh, that's adorable. Like some sort of elemental creature? I'm not sure. Very cute. Vicious hornet creature. Slog. Like a frog and a slug, maybe? Ooh, an oozy type of creature. Some sort of fluffy guy. He's cute. Kind of reminds me of Elmo. Which I'm not sure was intended, but that's what it reminded me of. Very cool. Ooh. Maybe like a wraith. And back to the bear. Very good concept art. Love it. I think my favorite is this thick-beaked bird creature. It's unique with still going with the theme that we're used to with the bird creatures, the aviac style. Some more concept art. Trees and vines. This plant with some glowing lights around it. Ooh, this is really cool. Deep dark woods. Reminds me Hobbit, when he gets all entangled with the spiders and the trees. Makes me think of that. An elf city. Very nice. Oh, big statue over here. Waterfalls, of course. All right, on to character art and animations. Female gnomes are now playable. Iteration on female gnomes. Female wood elves created. Male wood elf started. Spider created and added to the game. Orcs created. Female ogre animations continued. Female gnome animations started. And the spider is animated. So it looks like these are the female gnomes. Love it. Different angle. Nice. Scrappy. Awesome. Right. Different elf positions. They're kind of tall and lean, like we're used to our high elves being. Got some scary spiders, Black Widow type without the markings. An orc warrior. We got some animations here. I think that's the ogre, but I could be wrong. Got fighting. Looks like being hit here. Casting, blocking. Very cool. Sitting animation. Moving down to the spiders. Standing there looking around. His idle animation. I like this idle one with the legs kind of going up and down. We got walking, attacking, possibly being hit here. And the death animation. Very cool. You can almost hear them. Screeching. Alright, on to environment art. Biome Jam. The biomes include Forest City, some other images shown in the last update as well. The snowy biome, swamp, temperate coast and hills, and volcanic. I think you're going to be super impressed with the volcanic. And my favorite is the forest and jungle-y looking ones. But let's read on. Did a quick experiment using texture and fog variations to see how much it changed the vibes in one zone. Continue to test out our new terrain pipeline. Concepted and gray boxed a location only known as Party City. Experimented with an environmental lighting effect. Looks like we're getting into this foresty tree city, reminding us of Kelethin. Some concept art and how you get around here. Very cool. Oh, that lighting makes it look incredible. We got the shelf mushrooms there. Ooh, like foggy, nighttime, dusk. Love the ambient lighting and fog. Great job. The lighting there. Oh, that looks fantastic. Got a little fire down here, like a camp below all the terraces. Really love the lighting. Probably going to be my favorite area. It just looks cool. Oh, we got one of the up in the tree platforms, and we have for scale some little creature here. I can't even make out what it is. It's so small, but I'm guessing it's scale to human or maybe elf. Very cool. Excellent. Oh, there's some, I think this was the snowy area. Cool rocks, snow building up. They were having a hard time getting it with the grays and the whites. I know if they did like a flip where it looked opposite, it would be way too dark. So I think they were still working on that, but that looks really, really cool. I love the way the rocks are and the snow piled on top and on the trees. Looks great. It's more of that green, kind of foggy jungle look. Expect to see like lizard men walking through or something. Oh, these huts are great. Campfire. Very cool. Ooh. Like a wide open plains. Different rocks, some sort of building up there. Kind of a starry sky, but it's daytime. These floating rocks back here. I'm not sure if they're supposed to be floating or not, but it still looks cool. I can envision what it's going to look like. And the way these rocks just flow, it looks great. You can just see it being windswept. And here we are with the very impressive volcanic lava zone or biome. And I've seen this live on stream with his character standing by the lava. It looks incredible. The lava flow is pretty realistic. All these burnt ashen and embers on the trees. It's very, very cool. And there it is, streaming. I've seen this in game. This is an okay view of it, but I've seen it live. It's even more impressive. And they have the lava flows coming out of the different mountains. Really awesome. Here's some more different biome pictures. Got some tropical trees, some water. Different Stonehenge type things. Oh, when they put some greenery on here, different seasons maybe. Yep. It's great. Oh, we got foggy ones down here. Well, there it is. Yep. Hazing out the sun. That's some really thick fog. Very cool. All right, what we got down here? Cool pillars on wall. Oh, cool. Cool pillars on wall. Okay, here it is. So it's almost like a walkway with the pillars on the side. There's great art on the side of the buildings. Egyptian type feel to me. And these buildings have gardens as part of the buildings on different terraces. Looks fantastic. Up above view, we got a wider street, waterways. Water goes into a castle. Okay. Walkway under water. Interesting. So that's here. So this water is kind of on an aqueduct, I'm guessing, and you can walk underneath it. Very cool. Got the big palace here. I'm not sure what zone this is in, but it is impressive. This huge walkway up to the top here looks massive. Palace communal trade market. I'm guessing down here somewhere. Sunken theater, like an amphitheater, and spouts for water. And a sneaky sewer exit down below here. Oh, I bet you some good criminals use that sewer exit. Different shot. Maybe the market here. And back to the beginning. Fantastic. All right, what do we got here? We got some lightning. Let's check this out. Very cool. Very realistic looking. Oh, now there's getting more. Oh, dang, that's a lot of lightning. Awesome. All right, on to audio. New dungeon ambient sounds design in Wormsbane. Replaced a few UI sounds. New skeleton idle sounds. New elemental idle sounds. And fixed a few spell sound bugs. With design and content, they've added some new mob spawners to Sungreet Strand. Deep Dune's minor population adjustments. Bone constructs in Tomb of the Last Wormsbane has been reworked. and spiders can now be found in the world. Under faction, adjusted starting player factions for various classes and races, adjusted primary faction of several NPCs, added spider factions. Ooh, a spider faction. Interesting. Usually they're just, killing bears, wolves, and spiders. They're not usually a faction tied to it. Interesting. Under traits, they added a trait sneak. And under general abilities, added ability reclaim essence, cure blindness, and sneak. The placate and lull line of abilities now has a slight chance to break early. Surprise, surprise. The placate and lull line of abilities now has a slight chance to critical fail, causing primary aggro and social aggro. Oh boy, don't want to fail those lulls. The chance for most invisibility spells to break early has been slightly reduced. Dispel magic can now be casted on non-group members. Fixed purge ability to properly be a spell and have the normal attributes of a spell. Fire Burst now does a flat 15 damage. Minor regeneration, health regeneration reduced from 3 health per tick to 2 health per tick. Several auras ability gem are now properly colored purple as they are group buffs. A good little note, our group buffs are purple. Fixed various ability descriptions. Heal now level 8 down from 16. Divine Protection and Arcane Protection now properly apply soul exhaustion upon fading. Alright, we're on to class abilities and things that have been added. For the Bard, adjusted the acquisition level of various songs, added aria movement speed, secondary melee slow line of songs. For the Elementalist, the Fire Elemental Pet's Backlash of Fire aura has had its damage shield damage reduced from 1 to 30, to 1 to 15. For the Enchanter, added melee haste ability line from Shaman, starting at level 4. Melee slow ability line now starts at level 4. For the Inquisitor, added spell slow line with abilities Mind Exhaustion, Mind Enervation, Mind Fatigue, Mind Lethargy, and Mind Debilitation. Necromancer added ability Sacrifice. Paladin re-added ability Mark of the Crusader. Mark of the Crusader now only procs off of primary hand and ranged attacks. Mark of the Crusader now also removes enemy damage shields. Restorative Smite now only heals yourself, not your entire group. A little bit of a nerf there. Now has access to Divine Aegis ability. Moving on to the Rogue, Vial of Smoke ability now requires Vial of Smoke reagent. The added ability Sap, and Stealth now has a 10-second cooldown. For the Shadow Knight, Aura of Vampirism now also procs off ranged attacks, and they added ability Sacrifice Minion. For the Shaman, added ability line Susceptibility. Susceptibility, Susceptibility 2, Susceptibility 3, and 4, and 5. Added ability line Wolf Spirit Pet. Interesting. Tiers 1 to 8. Added ability Blind. Removed ability Swiftness. This ability is now only available to Enchanter. So Shaman got also a little bit of a nerf there. Melee Haste line now begins at level 8. Restorative Spores is now properly usable at level 28. For the Spellblade, added ability Singe. Spellblades now start with Singe. They added ability Unstable Barrier and Aura of the Arcane. They fixed a bug where later tiers of the Chilling Embrace line would still proc the same lower level Chilling Embrace debuff. And lastly, the Wizard added Spell Haste ability line from Enchanter. Alright, on to tech. Some fixes. Fixed a couple spots on one of the crest rivers where the water spline width wasn't large enough. No longer automatically target self when casting a beneficial spell with no target. Instead, it self-casts the spell with no target. Camera movement amount is no longer frame rate dependent. Fixed an issue where some settings were not actually being changed when you changed them in the settings window. Fixed target cast bar appearing empty briefly after the cast completes. Lots of updates and fixes to the character controller, including fixed character getting stuck when walking under objects, smoothed out jump speed bonus, polish on newly added crouch, ladders now work and show a climbing animation, added a run walk toggle, several fixes for scaled up entities, animation, physics, hitbox. Fix the disengage arc ability, wired up animation for turning in place, and fixed camera jitter at high frames per second. Lastly, improved animation and perception of other players' movement. Under additions, increase the number of abilities that the pet window supports from 4 to 8. Added confirmation when trying to sell an equipped item. Added graphics settings section to the settings UI. Added reset to defaults button in the user settings interface. Added hotkey to take a screenshot during play, F12 by default. Added VSync setting. Guild Invite now uses confirmation UI for visual consistency with other confirmations, and added auto decline timer functionality to the confirmation UI. Allow /assist and name command to find NPCs by name. You can now replace a hot button with another that is on your cursor. Name tags are now clickable to target an entity. Added a new /devnotes tool that lets us place notes in our database that we can see and interact with in the game. This will allow us to more easily share location-based feedback, bugs, etc., and speeds up development. Right, that's a lot of work that's been done. Now they're giving us the December playtest and tech summary. Here's the data for the public test. December playtest. Concurrently, they had 922 players. Participating in the public test was 2,272. And then the stress test, 871. And people that participated in both was 665. They gave us a nice chart of time played. So the 24-hour plus group was about 6%. There were a few that just popped in for 5 minutes to check it out, down at 4%. Looks like a good chunk of people, about 19%, played in the 2-hour to 5-hour range. Races played out of the available races We had humans were 34%, goblin 19%, dwarf 16%, ogre 12%, gnome 9%, tied with halfling also 9%. Then out of the classes played, they have them ranked. Highest first was the necromancer, and they were all pretty close in percentages. It's pretty wide, good spread. We have 8%, and then the least is the wizard at 4%. And I'll just read them in order. So top was necromancer, then fighter, beastmaster, spellblade, elementalist, cleric, paladin, shadow knight, shaman, bard, rogue, ranger, enchanter, monk, druid, inquisitor, archer, and wizard. There was one person in the test that hit level 15, 2 at 14, 5 at 13, and 3 for 12. There's quite a few people, 4,858 that got to level 1, so they tried it out. And then all the way in between. The data above proved to be interesting for us, they say. We looked at both the public playtest in December as well as the previous stress test. Since we carried over player data from the stress test, we could look at who participated in both tests or only one. This led us to look at some questions around retention that we'll be digging into more as we go. Ali touches on this below. A fair number of stress test players did not come back for the public test. We'll dig into whether or not this was due to the short nature of the tests, them being unavailable during those times, finding the game is just not for them, this is to be expected for many, or if it was just due to the technical difficulties faced during the stress test as mentioned below, i.e. the game was laggy during the stress test. I'll come back later in development. If any of these apply to you, hit up the Monsters and Memory team in their Discord or on one of their live streams and let them know. They go on to say, overall, having over 2,000 people participate that weekend was cool to see. And we really appreciate folks taking the time to check out the game, even in its early form. Alright, the rest of this is written by Ali and covers more of the technical details. Alright, part 2, the stress test, profiling and optimization. The team held 2 stress tests in November that were meant to test the limits of the servers in preparation for the December open test. Here were some findings that led to optimizations and fixes crucial for the December test. Thank you to all who participated. Part A, the patching process. Getting the game out to testers on the first stress test was quite stressful. We were using FTP servers to push the patch files to testers using our launcher, but that quickly flooded our bandwidth capacity. Furthermore, changing strategies on the spot was not possible because the endpoint was hard-coded on the launcher. This meant that our only recourse was to push a fully patched executable to clients. In the second stress test, we changed strategies to use CDN distribution and HTTP downloads. This made patching much better for 99% of testers, as once CDNs cached the data, it was very fast for testers to download. It just so happened that one of the CDN nodes was having difficulties that day, however, and we found users out of the UK struggling to patch. The patch was failing after 2 to 3%. The worst part was that for those testers, we could not just give them a fully patched client like we were able to during the first stress test. The launcher depended on receiving a manifest from the server to validate files. Sorry, chaps. In preparation for the December open test, we fixed a number of bugs on the launcher that were uncovered during the second stress test. And we also created a procedure where we could instruct users to completely bypass patching and launch the game directly. Luckily, we did not need to use this in December as all the CDN nodes were working well for us. And here's a picture of their patcher with their updates. Hopefully we'll be seeing that again soon. Alright, Part B, NPC movement and AI limits per frame. NPC pathing, NPC awareness, and aggro were all taking an unreasonable amount of time per frame in the stress test. This was the reason the game was borderline unplayable during the start of the first stress test. We were able to gather good logs and profiles that directed us to those bottlenecks that only show up at high user counts. Part C, lighting everything in real time. Due to M&M's dynamic time of day system and the sheer size and amount of lights in some of the zones, looking at you, Night Harbor, baked lighting is not a possibility for us. Therefore, the team decided early on to focus on getting real-time lighting working well and optimizing for that. Leading up to the test though, Night Harbor was getting a lot of work put into it, and the zone was developing at a very rapid pace. The team was not able to optimize lighting before the first November stress test, and the full ramifications of this were not known until the test was well underway. With the added load of 500 plus players and thousands of corpses littered all over, all receiving lighting and casting shadows, frame rate really suffered for testers. Some optimizations were necessary. So, light culling was implemented in Night Harbor. Corpses no longer cast shadows since they're on the floor anyways. Light cascades were adjusted so that the shadow map was not taking up gigabytes of video memory. Some improvements were noticeable in the second test, and many more came before the December test. Part D, cloth physics culling. This was another thing that was only caught at very high user counts. Only certain humanoids have cloth physics in Night Harbor, and there are not too many of them until you add hundreds of players and their corpses, and then the frame rate suffers for it. Two immediate optimizations were obvious. Dead things don't need cloth physics. Things that are behind you or are occluded by other geometry can skip their physics calculations. Third optimization was not so obvious, but was critical. Every humanoid, whether or not they had a visible cape and robe, still had running cloth physics on those layers. Once this was discovered, it was easy to check if those layers are in use and disable cloth physics on those layers if not. We were also able to optimize the calculations so that we did not affect the fidelity of the cloth physics, but were using far fewer CPU cycles. Player retention, Part E. The poor frame rate in the first test, coupled with the poorly performing server, were good things to find during the stress test. However, we believe this contributed to the above-mentioned drop-off in players that played during the stress test and did not play again during the public stress test. We also noted a much shorter session time in the stress test. Granted, the servers were up for a much shorter period, but also if a player logs in and finds their play experience to be not ideal, we can see why they would log off and not come back. Hopefully now that we have optimized the server and client, we can keep performance running well for the remainder of the proof of concept period. On to Part F, bots. The stress test really highlighted how necessary it is for us to be able to test things regularly at high user counts. Therefore, the team prioritized writing simple bots for the game that can do basic actions like move around, do simple combat, loot items, move items around their inventory, talk in gibberish, and consider things. They also log out and log in often and can combine all those actions in configurable frequencies. This was key to testing the above optimizations without requiring additional stress tests that could have gotten too repetitive. However, nothing replaces real human testers. Yes, and we would like to get in as well. Don't use the bots too many times. All right, part 3, public test findings. The December public test greatly benefited from the November stress test breaking so badly. The team felt much better prepared, and therefore the sessions were much less hectic behind the scenes. We also took a strategy of not really doing anything that impacts play experience, such as cramming as many players on one server as possible, and ended up putting up 5 servers, 2 in the US West, 2 in the US East, and 1 in Europe. The US East 1 and US West 1 servers still ended up getting a decent amount of load and therefore yielded good load test data. Our key technical findings. Part A, public test server frame rate findings. We still noticed significant slowdown on the server, which manifested as slow responses to actions, casting, moving items around, quest hand-ins, etc., as well as jerky NPC movements. During the test, we lacked the tooling to really get good profiling data past "this is not ideal" and could not get good data on what the server frame rate was actually running at. This prompted a quick rethink on our profiling tool stack. We have greatly increased the amount of data we have access to in a live production environment. We also got great load test data that we can use to replicate the environment using our army of bots. This has led to many optimizations. We found multiple new bottlenecks. The worst one was when a character was loading in, the process of checking if they had any saved pets was creating an almost second-long pause of the entire server for everyone. Talk about worst-case scenarios. We also found additional bottlenecks in character saving. This has now been moved to its own thread. Aggro, client awareness, and client-server sync netcode at high player counts. While we did not have accurate figures of US East 1's, the most populated server, their frame rate during peak hours, we estimate the effects were only felt when frame rate dipped to below 1 frame per second. At its worst, we estimate it was at 0.1 frames per second. Yikes. As it stands today, after optimization, simulated loads show frame rates of approximately 30 frames per second, which we have never achieved before. Nice, congrats, Eminem. We look forward to more stress testing sessions to validate these results. And so do we. Part B, crafting stations. The only other technical issue we faced during the public test were to do with a strange state that you could end up in if you accept a trade with a crafting station open. The design of crafting stations, as of the test mode, made it only a matter of time until this happens. The anvil, for example, could only be used by 1 player at a time. The entire game only has 3 anvils, therefore queues formed at the anvils. Players did not want to close the anvil screen as they may lose their position at the top of the queue, and therefore would be trading resources with other players with the anvil window open. This had a random small chance of yeeting the character into oblivion. The anvil would break and the character would be kicked off the server and would be stuck in a void, unable to log back in. This also was spamming errors like mad on the server, causing a lot of lag. The only fix was to restart the zone. We restarted Night Harbor once on US East 1 when this was first encountered, and then when the cause was known, we disabled crafting stations on all servers and restarted Night Harbor on all servers, including US East 1 again. For the remainder of the test, the team acted as crafting stations, trading copper ore for copper gear. That's fun. Alright, part 4. Player placed object example, campfire. A lot of work has gone into player placeable objects, or as we call them internally, widgets. Part A, placement limitations. Widgets now can have a minimum distance from other widgets defined. This is to avoid a mass spam of widgets in one place, creating lag or otherwise being a nuisance. Part B, synced states. Dimmed. Widgets may now also have states and sync states across the server client netcode. Certain actions or timers may move a widget from one state to another, such as a campfire nearing expiry or having additional wood refill the campfire. Part C, persistence. Widgets now save and can persist through restarts, or can persist indefinitely if required. Widgets can also have their own inventories and placed items persist. Part 5, resting and state detection. The team has been trailing a new RPG system for being rested or tired. It also ties into character states. For example, we can now tell if it's raining and we are not under shelter. Eventually, this will lead our character to be wet and for that discomfort to have effects that must be managed. Not being under shelter while it rains also prevents you from resting. You rest when you are near a campfire or within an inn or tavern. Being rested will provide various effects, but currently gives you an experience bonus until you get tired. All these interactions are currently in proof of concept phase and are only represented via status text prompts. The plan is for it to eventually be visible on a visual UI element. Part 6, no rent items. This was a big system that came in with a small change, due to an accumulation of functionality that could be utilized. The challenge with no rent items is that they expire when you are offline, and therefore the server has no access to your data. However, due to other systems that needed functionality like this, we are now able to check at the pre-login phase if that item should actually be expired and deleted. At least one developer was really happy about this and immediately implemented some pretty powerful items that are no rent. Part 7, guilds. We're all very excited to have guilds be a thing that is in the game. We've been wanting to create a guild ourselves for many years now, and we were so glad to be able to make one finally. Guilds are created at a guild creation NPC, cost a little bit of silver, and come with their own guild management UI. Part 8, housing. In an end-of-year curveball, houses have been implemented in a very basic state. You can own a house, but not yet buy a house, and you can have co-owners, guests, and permissions defined. Doors may be locked or unlocked, and the whole house may be marked private and will kick gnomish trespassers, who can as of now fit through many windows to just outside the main door. In closing, as you can see, it was another busy month, though a couple of the tech items listed in Ollie's summary were being wrapped up in December. We're currently looking ahead at how best to tackle 2024. Our planning will get us closer to being able to define a landing point for the proof of concept phase we've been working in the last couple of years. We look forward to discussing that with you more in the coming months. Folks continue to ask how to support the Monsters and Memories team, and the answer to that is the same. Please spread the word. Discord, Twitch, VODs on YouTube, and their mailing list, and they have clickable links for each of these. Thanks for reading this far. We love you guys. See you in the community. And that is the giant update 39 for January 2024. Thanks so much for watching this along, guys. If you're still here, that was a huge update. So many things, so much art, so much animation, the biomes. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you check out Loving Robots Twitch or YouTube. I'm sure he's been putting them up there, and check out those biomes. They are amazing. And the lava volcanic one, it's awesome. So thanks again for watching. If you haven't yet, like the video. If you found this helpful, let me know this is content that you want to see. And I'll try to keep you updated with each of their huge updates. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to get notifications when I have anything new coming up. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye for now.